To the third hour of the Nutrimedical Report, and at least once, perhaps twice a month, we try to get Freeman on. And he always has, as he said earlier today, he said, I don't know, I'm on so frequently, I don't know if I've got enough material. I couldn't believe how much information you have for today's show to cover. And, of course, we'll probably have to be back to even cover just what you've listed today. Freeman, let's go down through some of these issues. And what I like about the way you approach it is you look at it from the forest and the trees. You see beyond just what you see in front of you, but you see the symbology of why there's specific numerology, specific timing and dates, even the initials that are used for different things like the International Space Station. All of these things have a meaning that is a separate, like a double entendre, separate meaning from what you think are based on the initials of it or the timing of it, or even the numbers of different craft. So let's go down through some of these remarkable things you found.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that people should be looking not so much at the terrestrial effects of what's going on planet Earth, but the extraterrestrial of what's going on. And I don't mean aliens, I mean all of the spaceports and launches that are picking up. And, you know, first and foremost, of course, is NASA and Obama cutting all of the funding to NASA, ending the Ares space program, the Constellation, and the latest trip to the moon, right? So as we start to look at the space shuttle wind down, now we're watching the Columbia Endeavor for the discovery of Atlantis shuttling to the ISS, or the International Space Station. So first just take that symbolism in. And we're moving down to our last 4 space shuttle launches. The last one right now, Shuttle 131, is having some complications, which is the 33rd mission to the space shuttle, or to the ISS, or the International Space Station. So we have the 33rd mission going up with a bit of a delay, a bit of a problem because of the radar shutdown, and so they're having to actually couple with the space station without electronic means. So that should be interesting to see what happens. I hope everything goes well. What I found really curious as you start tracking the numbers of the last 4 space shuttle missions is that they should end on number 134. But what they've done is switched the last 2 numbers, making the final space shuttle, Shuttle 133. So this, to me, is just a bit of a coding of their Masonic origins in the 33rd degree, and they just wanted to end it on a symbolic number. This is the only reason I can assume that they have changed the coding for the space shuttle missions, because it really makes no sense.
Yeah, of course, the 33, if you look at a compass, there's 33 different major directions, like north, northwest, etc. So a master mason has to have the ability to navigate. They call him a master navigator. And then there's 12 levels of illumination. That's why they call them the illuminated ones. There's actually 180 degrees of in the Masonic orders that mankind or humans can have. Human meaning serpent man. And then the other 180 degrees are non-human. People need to understand this. There's 360 degrees of the full compass. And, Bill Schneblin, who's a friend of mine, he was over a 90th degree high-level Mason. People don't understand this. They think, the 33rd degree is as high as you go, or 32nd degree. They're completely wrong. And each level thinks that they've reached the maximum of what it is, and yet there's more levels of illumination and knowledge and power you control, and the things that are taught at lower symbology, at lower levels, become irrelevant. And this is important because this is how the control matrix of the world is run, where a tiny minority are running the whole world, including those below us, below them, that are actually thinking that they understand what's going on. Right?
Yes, and the motivations are much different than what people think they are. You know, we're talking about channeled communication, we're talking about high-profile ritual to make contact with extra-dimensional beings, and then you can couple this with our latest technologies of CERN, CERN coupling with the STS-134 mission, which is to launch the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer, which is looking for dark matter and will be placed on the space station there. On the Space Shuttle 134 will be bringing that up there. So right now we have this massive search for dark matter. We had Minnesota, the cryogenics dark matter search company, finding dark matter in a cave in Minnesota. Then we have the AMS, or the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer, launching in this 134 shuttle. that's to be placed on there looking for dark matter as well. That AMS was created by CERN, and of course their corporate logo being 666, and they have coupled with the Vatican, bringing in Reverend Funes, who said aliens were our space brothers and didn't suffer original sin, coupling with Gabriel Gianti. And so as we start to see this come together as one large picture instead of many multiple pictures, we see that there is an esoteric agenda. We watch as these 21st century capitals are being formed, such as Kazakhstan, Astana, and Dubai, all announcing themselves being the next leader in space technologies and public launches. But at the same time, China is planning on taking over as the space shuttles dwindle. So our latest launch was required a Russian rocket to get us up into orbit. China is moving straight ahead and preparing a new military space station.
Yeah, their own separate station. By the way, all of this is a scam. It's all basically, the fact is, since the early 60s, the space stations, including the mining operations on the moon since the early 60s, which, by the way, was there 5 and 6 years, I think, before our manned mission, the Eagle, landed on the moon, which, by the way, they did do a movie set to try to create a disinformation operation against the public to think that we never went to the moon, which is, again, a psyop, and that's why the movie director that did that operation was part of what's called the mind control technology they use, where they give you flags flapping in the wind on the moon, which of course has no wind, so that you'll say, oh, we never went there. Of course, they don't want you to know that they, as the director of U.S. Space Command said to me face-to-face back in July 10th, 1994, we control every cubic centimeter of space between here and Mars. And I said, you mean the moon? Because I thought, well, of course we've been to the moon. I mean, maybe we've still been there, but we're just talking about it. The fact that they're getting rid of NASA is a perfect example. They don't want you to know about all this advanced technology because all of their motives for their cap and trade, their green technology, their sustainable development is all a lie. They don't want us to be prepared for Earth changes. They don't want us to be prepared for advanced technology that will extend human lifespan and provide limitless energy and informational technology, because they literally want to be the masters of the chaos over which they control the planet Earth and all the population of the people. And they want to hold back the very nature of the identity of what kind of a creature and a being we are, and the nature of our ancient civilizations that crashed because these overlords created wars and chaos that destroyed us. They don't want the people to know these facts, do they?
No, not at all. And they don't want you to understand their motivations and how they've been following somewhat of an extraterrestrial path, trying to bring about a Freemasonic New World agenda. That's where people get lost. They think that we're dealing with power and greed. That's your most common effect that people say is causing the world strife. But once you start to get deep into these secret societies, and what we're looking at is synarchy here, a global elite of fraternal secret societies ruling the world, then you start to understand that this takes on more religious overtones, spiritual overtones, and that we're dealing with ceremonial magic. We're dealing with levels of understanding that most people aren't even thinking about. You know, they think about gold, politics.
Yeah, I'm thinking about money when, as I said in my talk years ago, I said, you know, it's one thing to have all the money in the earth, and people think, well, they're just greedy people. No, they're not. They're well beyond that. They want power. They want control. They want to be the gods of this world. They're literally trying to create mankind as a, if you want to call it, a sub-race in a galactic and cosmic empire that not only spans across our space-time, but also across dimensional vortices. And when you talk about dark matter, by the way, the best way to think of it is, I talk about this as interdimensional upholstery. Dark matter basically is an indication there's a, if you want to call it, a space-time vortex to a parallel dimension. That's what we're talking about with dark matter. And they're doing this because they're using these ancient technologies and things to control and literally create the future. That's what they're up to. Back in a moment.